The following has been brought to you by
I used to think that the prison inside my head was the only place that I could ever truly be free, truly be free. Rebel in what you are. Rebel in what you are. Rebel in what you are. What you are. Rebel in what you are. Rebel in what you are.
You're listening to In the Corner with Benny Mac. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unforgiving. Here's the man in the corner, Benny Mac.
Welcome back to In the Corner. Post Extreme Rules, post Raw. Hope you all enjoyed Extreme Rules. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you didn't stay up too late if you're over in the UK. Somebody who didn't stay up late, joining me once again for this second follow-up podcast of talking some Extreme Rules and some Raw. Mr. Tyler, all the way from across the pond again, is joining me. How you doing, Tyler?
I am doing great. It is always a pleasure to be back on your program, and I can't wait to talk some Extreme Rules and some Monday Night Raw. And how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on once again.
You're very welcome.
You can follow Tyler at DustinTyler86 on Twitter and get involved with his shows, Wrestle Buddy, the writing you do, Wrestle Buddy, the Geek Buddy, and then also the Rewind Wrestling podcast, if I said that right. Yeah. There we go.
Well, it's close enough. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for plugging that podcast and Wrestle Buddy and Geek Buddy. I know they appreciate the support. And hey, folks, support this show, In the Corner. It is fantastic. Not just because I'm on here. That's a plus. That is an addition. But seriously, it's a great, terrific podcast.
I appreciate that. I'm going to have to record that as a little advert going out on the rest of SJP World Media, I think, as well. So, yeah, you didn't have to stay up late, I would assume, or at least not as late as I was up until about 4 a.m., give or take, watching Extreme Rules.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that because I do feel bad for my UK people over there like yourself, but it just, no, I didn't. That's the thing with time zones and different countries. It's always been fascinating because I didn't realize how late you all had to stay up for a lot of things, and I feel for you because it shows you the dedication that everyone possesses over there.
It's also, I think it helps as well because they move the premium shows, pay-per-view shows, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, WWE call them premium shows now, but the fact that it's on a Saturday night, I think it just makes sense across the board. I think we touched upon this in when you came on for the prediction show, but it makes a lot more sense to have a show on a Saturday than it does on a Sunday night.
Yeah, it does. I actually don't mind Saturdays. I know Sundays have typically been the day that a lot of the pay-per-views, back when they were calling them that, were featured. But I'm getting used to Saturday night. It's actually been kind of nice. Now, it may be a different perspective that you have because you have to stay up later. But I know for me, I'm actually getting used to them.
Well, this is one of the ones, normally what I do, Tyler, is I watch the pre-show. That's about midnight for us. And then I'll maybe watch the first hour, maybe an hour and a half. If it's, if I'm not too tired, I'll stay up.
Gotcha.
But then I'll go to bed and then I'll get up in the morning and I'll watch the rest of the show without going on my phone, any social media, because you know what it's like. People post.
Oh, yeah, you'll find out. Spoilers. Yeah, I mean, and I've made that mistake. Like, I've been wanting to watch a pay-per-view or a show, or it could be a TV show of any kind, and you get on there, you're going to get spoilers, and people are going to ruin it for you without them meaning to. But it's kind of our fault because we can't help ourselves. We get a notification or we get on Twitter, Facebook, and there it goes. There's the results. Okay.
Great. I've turned most of that's why I don't always answer messages straight away. All my notifications are off on my social media. The only one it's not is like proper DMs or something that I might get from family or whatever. But other than that, in terms of posts that get put out either on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, I've turned all the notifications off, so I have to physically go into it to see anything. And just out of pure routine. I just sometimes you pick your phone up and what's going on in the world, and like you click a few things before you know it, you're scrolling Twitter or whatever, and you go, "Oh damn it, I've just ruined that match for myself or that TV show." So,
Yeah, it can be tough. I have done that many a times, and it's I want to kick myself. Not literally, but sometimes, it's just like, why did I do that? Just being humorous, just being honest and real with
yeah.
how we go about it, because we're all just fans and supporters and want to enjoy, professional wrestling, but we ruin ourselves with giving away surprises. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I pull that up? Or it'll even be one of my own articles. I'm like, okay, I just pulled it, and it was me who wrote it. So,
yeah. I mean, this is one of the first ones I've stayed up for, like till the end, for a long time. I've not done that. Like, occasionally, like I want to say the last one I probably stayed up for and watched the conclusion was maybe Royal Rumble 2019. So I normally tend to watch it on delay now, but the Saturday has helped big time because not having to work the Sunday, you don't mind every now and again, every 3-4 weeks, staying up late, have maybe a couple of drinks and then watch some wrestling or whatever it may be. So Saturday, hopefully going forward, is the way forward for a lot of people, not just being selfish and into thinking about it from the UK's perspective. So
I think it helps. That's not being selfish at all. I think it is a new trending thing that I think is going to be instrumental going forward, because we've seen the WrestleMania experiment over the course of those 2 nights on the weekends, and I'm all for it. I actually don't mind it. It was a little different at first. I got to admit it was an adjustment, but I'm liking them doing all these premium live events on the Saturday nights.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing I will moan about, but I understand why they do it, because if I do end up watching the pre-show, you get all the promo packages for all the matches, and that's because they're trying to lure people in to say, come on, this is what's happening tonight, come and get the network or get it on pay-per-view or whatever you want. So then you end up seeing the same promo packages in the actual show as well. So that's my only gripe, but that pre-show is not necessarily for me. It's for people that aren't fans and possibly people that haven't got the network, to try and convince them to get the network. So maybe that's my own fault. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't watch those. Maybe not, if it was on, I'm following it every week, so I know what's going on.
No,
so.
You're not at fault. It's like you're saying, it's about getting the casual viewers or maybe non-viewers to be invested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, but then having to see these video packages of these stories they've told so far again in the actual show, I was like, I've already seen this. It may be, so I think that's more of my own sort of thing. But I understand.
Oh, it gets repetitive. I'm starting to follow you. You have to forgive me. I'm slow at times. You would think I'm not. You would think I'm very up to date, modern, contemporary, but I'm a little bit old school in that regard. I'm a little bit slower to go sometimes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, each their own. Like I said, it was just more of a thing I noticed this time around, really, because of actually being excited for Extreme Rules, which I don't think I've ever said for an Extreme Rules pay-per-view while WWE have been doing them. I can't remember being. I don't
think I've been this enthusiastic about Extreme Rules, and I wanted to hold that until after the program was over. And I'm with you. I concur. Yeah. I think it was a fantastic show. I'm not going to say it's one of the best, but for an Extreme Rules event, it delivered.
It definitely had the atmosphere, but then it's in Philly, so I was expecting that anyway, because I've been watching it for long enough. When they're in like towns like Chicago or they're in Canada or Philly, and there's loads of other ones. These are just a few off the top of my head. But
Philadelphia is a great community for wrestling. I mean, that fan base is passionate going back to ECW and even for WWE, and it's very fitting that they had it in the city of brotherly love, because it goes extreme. I mean, they like that kind of wrestling.
I think they delivered it pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't say they've gone over the top with any of the extreme moments, really. Some of them were not in a sense of, like, because obviously we don't see blood anymore, really, unless it's an actual, like, somebody's like accidentally been clonked by something.
We don't see it a lot, that's for sure.
I understand why. There are certain rivalries that were made. Sometimes I'm not saying you want to see people blading or anything like that, but like sometimes in a context of a match when two guys have been going at it for about 3 months and they put on a really good story and somebody's busted open, it just adds that extra sort of element to the story, and like these guys really hate each other, so
it does. It adds to the intensity, like you were saying.
Yes, that's a better way of saying it. Yes, it was definitely adds to the intensity of the matches. But yeah, I think overall, I mean, we're going to go through the matches in a moment. I mean, overall, then, without sort of going too much into it, you know, not again, as you've already said, probably not one of the best pay-per-views ever, but I think it will be remembered for the obvious reason near the end. But also, there's actually some good matches in here that were pretty good. Based on what I've seen in the last couple of years with WWE. Now, a lot of people are obviously attributing it to Triple H taking over, and I'm guessing that's true to a degree. What are your overall thoughts on the show?
The show definitely impressed me to be Extreme Rules. I'm going to go back to the point you were stating earlier. Triple H has done some pretty remarkable things. I don't want to go overboard with what he's done so far because it's going to take time.
It's still early days, really, isn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, it's in his early days leading this creative charge. And I don't want to knock Vince McMahon because I think there was still some good things under McMahon. I just think with Triple H, he gets a lot of the NXT talent, and he knows how they want to be presented. And I think he listens to more of their ideas. So it's coming across on these TV shows like Raw, SmackDown, and even for the live events on Peacock, like in Extreme Rules. And they're able to kind of do things their way, but through his vision, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I read an article. Somebody asked him a question about, you know, raising the age limit to, because what is it now? Is it like PG, something like that?
I think it's still PG, but I think they had talked about, or at least teased, maybe not going back to the Attitude Era type age, but maybe kind of, you know, pushing the envelope a little bit more.
Yeah. I think he was like, because obviously, we'll talk about Raw in a bit, but I'll bring it up. Obviously, we saw DX open the show, but obviously there was a bit of swearing in there, which they blanked out. So for comedic value, actually I find swearing more funny when it's bleeped out, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit like kiddie, but like actually having them do it and then blanking it out, you're like, you know, it was quite funny with the whole, you know, the chickens and stuff they had, which we'll get into a bit later on. But like,
yeah, it made it stand out.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm with you because a lot of people didn't think Shawn Michaels would have that much language, but that made it even that much more comedic. You used a great word there, and yeah, the chickens as a reference, and seeing Triple H, and I know we'll get into that, but just seeing him in that moment act all serious and businesslike because he is running the show was pretty appropriate and pretty clever. And yet he was kind of getting aggravated with his teammates in DX, but it reminded me of those good old days back in the Attitude Era.
I mean, even with Riddle and Seth, you know, the whole, like, after they went off the air, after they did their little talking backwards and forwards a few months ago, and Seth brought up Matt Riddle's kids and stuff, and there was swearing in that, but they bleeped it out. So you can still present that kind of thing, but also blank out things so you don't necessarily offend anybody, but it gives it more validity and more like these two actually hate each other and gives you a bit more reason to go, I want to see this match, whatever it may be. So.
Yeah, you got to have that filter. I agree once again. I think it's important when we can really buy into and invest in these character stories. And it's got a lot of validity. It's got a lot of the reality, real life elements to it. And that helps us believe and convinces us that, hey, these two guys are not just going to wrestle. They want to fight, and they don't care what it takes to either win a match, but it goes deeper than wins and losses. And I think that resonates with an audience, with us as fans, and it makes for a lot better television. And that reminds you of some of the territory days and some of what made, you know, the big companies so great and popular. I'm sure the same thing with a lot of the British companies, like the American companies. Personal issues, I think that was something Lawler and Jarrett in Memphis Wrestling used, and everybody, personal issues, what? Draw money.
Yeah. It suspends that disbelief even further, doesn't it? Because you go, you know, you can relate to somebody making comments to a divorce, or the fact you can't see your kids or whatever it may be, or somebody like back in the day in the Attitude Era, somebody cheating on their wife or whatever, so people can relate and it resonates with people. So I think, if they can present it in a way and do it like this, even if they are blanking out the swear words, which they did back in the Attitude Era, to be fair. Yeah,
even back then, you're right. I think the thing is, if you can get a fan to go, "Whoa, did he just go there, or did she just?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Say that? then the light bulb aha moment goes, wait a minute, like you're saying, I can actually get into this, and actually it's like I'm watching a good film or movie, but yet this is wrestling. It's got a little bit of the sports, and that's why they call it sports entertainment in a sense, because it does have the soap opera like feel to it. You know what? I can tell that these two individuals are really upset with each other, and they're throwing these kind of insults. This is getting very personal and very real. And that makes us all want to just sit back and go, okay, what's next?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what keeps us. That's what keeps us tuning in, I think, as well, because there are moments,
You
might,
got it.
you might only have two matches on the card that you actually want to see, but because of those two matches, you end up seeing the rest of the card. You might get drawn into another storyline if they're, and I think there's a lot of groundwork being laid at the moment in WWE to have these storylines pay off in a month's time, 2 months' time, even a year's time in some cases. I think we could see callbacks to these things that have just happened at Extreme Rules and, what happened beforehand. So in terms of the regular TV, so
I think you're on to something there. That's a very astute opinion, and I think we're starting to see, even with promos earlier. I'll go back to Kevin Owens, the promo he cut on Austin Theory on a Raw back a long time ago, and then I think it was Owens and McIntyre, the promo. We were starting to see a little bit of the shades of they're taking this a little bit more seriously. It's just not all ha-ha funny. You need those moments, but this is the part where you're seeing the young guys that are your established stars getting over when they don't necessarily need it because they're already there.
Yeah.
But they're proving why we love wrestling, because they're passionate and everybody wants to see a good fight or a good wrestling match. It's all about the story within the story, actually.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, you need those moments of, we've seen quite a serious side of Kevin Owens. You brought him up, but we saw him on the episode of SmackDown walking past the models and making reference to you should have your hand higher and stuff like that. And it's just like a little Kevin Owens giving advice over models. It was quite funny. But we've seen him quite serious over the past month. So yeah, we got a lot of things happening. I think we're just to say that he's turned it round. I think I can see the ship steering off now and getting into a groove. And hopefully it continues and he doesn't go too mental with bringing too many people back too quickly, because yes, it's great to have the talent, but you need to be able to tell the stories with them going forward as well. Otherwise they come back and they have a great pop, but where are they in a month's time? You need to, hopefully, which I think we will see, to be honest with you, but I am concerned
I think we will too, and you're so correct that you don't want him to hire back so many people where it gets diluted. That you can, you do have to concentrate and focus on these storylines and get them. I guess a better way to say it would be like music. They need rhythm. You've got to let them progress and get those beats in and let them take us somewhere we've never been before. I think that's what fans are yearning. I mean, it can still be a similar strategy, like from even the old school mentality that's updated now, where you got the balance between the new school modern presentation of wrestling. But let us really get behind these characters again, even if they've been ones that's been away. They're presented, they've kind of got that fresh paint on him. He's what you're talking about. He's steering it in the right direction. McMahon could do that, but the thing that's different and separates him and Triple H is that Triple H just, I think, has his pulse on the talent that's there, where Vince, I believe, just got out of touch, with all due respect. He just, something wasn't connecting between Vince and a lot of the talent, where Triple H is able to pick up those pieces.
Yeah, I that's a fair point, to be honest. I think with that, I also feel with some of the Vince stuff, again, it might not, but Vince ultimately called the decisions by all accounts. So, but 1 week you'd have a story, and the next week it'd be gone. You're like, what happened to this person? It's almost like he gets bored with it, and then he goes, well, we'll do something else, or we'll bring back nothing against them, but we'll bring back a legend and have them win the title and stuff. You're like, well, what about, you've just spent 6 months building this guy, and then you've gone, well, I don't think he's ready, so let's just bring in a legend and have them take the title. And that's fine if you're going to do that, but then
it appeared that way.
I mean, I don't work for the company, so
I don't either. I mean, they're not calling me either. So
yeah, exactly. So, but from the outside looking in, it did feel like funny enough, I was having a conversation with mate NGB, who's actually been on the show a few times. They advertised this week that Elias is coming back to WWE, which is great. That guy got over with a guitar and, started off being a drifter, then all this kind of stuff that he did. And then, what does WWE stand for? Walk with Elias. And he seemed to have something really good, and he seemed to reach really good popularity, but they never did anything much with him after. And it's like, well, and then he disappeared. Then he kind of came down to like a mid-card, and then he sort of was barely on TV. And then he came back as Ezekiel, but we all like Elias, so why have you changed him? Which is, I think, what's happened here. He's gone away for a month or two to grow the beard back, and we'll see him back, thank God.
Well, that helped him because the Ezekiel thing was rough.
It was comedy, but it wasn't what we wanted as fans, I don't think, to be honest.
Well, I didn't want it. I definitely prefer Elias because I'm a music guy myself, and I like the whole guitar and the beard drifter kind of persona. The only thing with Elias, I'm more over with his gimmick than I am his wrestling. Is where I find myself.
No, I agree. I think that's the problem. Maybe that was part of the problem. I don't know. You could also say the same with Rusev. Obviously, when he was with Adrian English, I think, and they were doing the Rusev Day stuff. That got over, and Rusev could be a monster in the ring. So, and again, they had something, but they just didn't seem to follow through with it, and I don't understand why. You can all see it as fans. I think most people would go, I like that. It was over. The people were responding to it. So what's wrong here? And it does feel like Vince got bored.
I think Vince got bored, and to a lot of his defense and that creative team, the wrestlers have to get themselves over. They can connect to an audience, but they may not connect all the dots in the ring, and maybe that was their crutch. I mean, I'm just trying to look at it fairly like you are and everybody else. But I think there has been the issues where Vince didn't allow certain personalities, even off of NXT TV, to be themselves, and that's where Triple H has capitalized.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for Bobby Roode to return. I think he's had surgery or something, so he's out injured at the moment. I'm not sure the whole details, but I am waiting for Bobby Roode because I don't like it when they change it to Robert Roode. I actually like the Bobby Roode character. I watched most of his Beer Money stuff in TNA, and then I saw his rise through NXT, and I actually quite liked the character, and he, maybe he could be a bit more in the ring, but generally I think it was a good character and could have been a really good heel going forward. But again, it just didn't seem to quite take. I don't know what the issue was between.
Yeah, Bobby Roode's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue was between NXT and the main roster. Maybe it's because Triple H was there in NXT at that time and was driving that shit down there. And when he came to the main roster, he says, "Oh, Vince, I've got this guy. He can do X, Y, and Z." But Vince goes,
"Yeah, I don't understand that either because Bobby Roode is as smooth as ever in the ring too. You talk about one of the better workers that you've got too in Bobby Roode, and I didn't realize just how talented he was till you go back and watch his stuff, even in TNA, NXT, and then the main roster with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, his selling and the way he can come back and just tell that story in ring is phenomenal, and like AJ Styles is phenomenal. I mean, I have to say that for Roode on a different level.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Hopefully, everybody else listening agrees or has their own take. If you do have any opinions on this, give us a tweet at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. I'm sure we'll get to it in the next show. Listen, we've got
because he said so. I'll just use the Austin reference. You need to tweet.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line because Tyler said so. All right, you got to tweet.
You got that right.
We need the Austin music now and smash a few cans.
No, that's what we need now. Talking about the Attitude Years, that's funny. We've talked a little bit of everything. It's so poetic now to talk about Austin 316.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, you're coming back on the show at some point. We're going to do some other special things with you. I think if you're up for it, I don't know what that is yet. I've got a few ideas percolating in my head as we're talking. And I think,
I'd be happy. See, you're already head of creative, and you don't know.
Look out for mine in Tyler's wrestling business, wrestling company starting. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm going to be working remote if it's going to be over in the US. To be fair, I'm in the UK, so.
Well, that's fine. I could probably consult because I'm over in a different country too. So I may have to do the Jerry Jarrett business where I'm consulting.
I'd love to be involved somehow. I go in and sweep the floor. I don't care.
I'd be in the bathrooms cleaning them just to be involved.
Just to let us be involved in it. It'd be good. All right, then. Right. So Extreme Rules was this past Saturday. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about leading up to it. There was a lot of talk after the fact as well. I got a few opinions on Twitter. I've got a question on Twitter, which we'll get to once we get to the relevant match they're asking it about, and also some other stuff that we've got going on with it. But let's start with how we did it. We ended up starting with this match, and it ended up being the opening match of the night. So the Brawling Brutes took on Imperium. Good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. For me, I don't know about you, Tyler, it was a great way to start the show, actually. And banger after banger as it went out on Twitter after. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I thought this was easily one of the better matches on the card. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but I was so taken back by how well. And I knew these two groups had chemistry. They had that and more. These guys fought. I mean, that was the stipulation. You knew it was going to be just a fight. It was going to have some good wrestling to it, but they were going to brawl. And I love how these pieces are falling together between Imperium and the Brawling Brutes. I love all these wrestlers. They told a great physical story, as always, between Gunther and Sheamus, and then you got Butch, who's we're seeing more of the shades of Pete Dunne, which we know is Pete Dunne, but got to call him Butch, and then of course Ridge Holland, and then of course Kaiser and Vinci. I mean, I love all those guys. So I agree, this was just a tremendous matchup.
I loved it from start to finish, and I think I tweeted out on the night a good way to set the tone for the evening. What was going to come, and actually, to be honest, I felt sorry for the people that were going to be coming up next, which I believe was Liv and Ronda. I think after the fact, but it was a really good way to start the evening. I don't know really much more I can say about it other than if you haven't seen it for some strange reason, I would say I think I'm there.
Go back and watch it.
Yeah, I would say I'm with you, Tyler. To be fair, I think probably the match of the night, actually, to be honest, and that's not to a degree. I think one probably just beats it in terms of storytelling, but I
think that's fair. I mean, they worked hard, and that's. I mean, if you're going to build your Extreme Rules and come out swinging, I mean, that's what they did.
This could have quite easily been the main event of the evening as well, couldn't it? To be fair, it was that type of match for me, at least.
I think it could have been because both these teams. We just talked about the talent that's involved. I mean, I have enjoyed the Sheamus Gunther storyline. I didn't get to even watch SmackDown, but I saw where Jessica Carr, there was some kind of tapping situation that really was controversial, that where Sheamus, you could probably help me out because I didn't get to watch that SmackDown prior.
He had him in the Texas, I call it a Texas Cloverleaf, but obviously they just call it a Cloverleaf, being it's Sheamus is, Irish. But Gunther kind of slapped his hand on the mat a couple of times. Now, I've seen wrestlers do it in the past, and the crowd went mental for it, and they thought he tapped out, and even Sheamus let go, I think, and it wasn't a tap out. The referee waved it off and said, no, it wasn't a tap. He sort of slammed his hand down twice on the mat as if he was tapping. It's a bit of it's left it in an asterisk over them again, really, I think, in terms of this encounter on SmackDown, because did Gunther actually tap out? And I think there's a nice.
Yeah, that's a question. Yeah. Did he actually tap out? And to your point, I was just going to say that it's builds like that really led nicely into that opening match for Extreme Rules. So I don't mind finishes where you kind of have to think about them every once in a while, because everybody's like, "Oh, that's a pinfall. He submitted." Well, here you go. This makes you kind of wonder a little bit.
Yeah, and are we going to have? You think, because after we saw the match on SmackDown for the IC title, you're thinking, is this Sheamus's last chance with that controversy of him tapping, not tapping? Obviously, there was also outside help with Gunther actually using the shillelagh on Sheamus to win the match. So it's left a nice little asterisk over that, actually, where actually, do you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing that match one more time. I don't know what match it will be, whether it'll be a cage match or a ladder match or I don't know what kind of. But in order for it to have a decent conclusion, I think you're probably going to have to keep the rest of Imperium and the Brutes away so we can see this.
I think they'd have to be, because now that we've seen them enough, you don't want to overdo that, and you want to make it fair where it's just Gunther and Sheamus. Because, like you say, if this is going to be the finale, which I would think it would have to be, with all due respect to both these guys, maybe Sheamus gets another title shot down the road, or program him, even get him in a tag team or something. I know he's in this faction right now, and move Gunther on to somebody else, somebody new. But I would definitely be down to seeing another match between these two, talking about Sheamus and Gunther. I think they tore the house down at Clash of the Castle. In this match, where they were big-time participants in, it was another barn burner. I'll just borrow from good old JR. It was a good one. I'm with you. I enjoyed it, man. Yeah.
The only negative from our point of view is that we both went with Imperium to win, Tyler.
I know. That's what I get. I should have trusted more your British comrades there. I went with the ones from Austria, Germany, and Italy, and they didn't win.
Well, I went for the same team, so and I'm over here in the UK.
Oh, that's true.
So
you did. And
yeah,
you just said that, and I promise you, folks, I'm paying attention and listening. But that shows you how things get over my head, even when I'm on a podcast. So.
Excuse me. But yeah, no, it was a freaking great match. It's one of those sort of things where you think, it makes sense for Imperium to win this, but actually, again, we're going to see a bit. Well, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of the brands. Are we going to see a draft again? So maybe Brutes get drafted to Raw, or Imperium do, and then we keep them away from each other for a little bit, and we could reignite this again. Maybe near Rumble time when they're all in the ring together, and then maybe it leads into Mania. I don't know. But again, that's something where you've got a good rivalry built between these two guys and these two factions now, where actually you could probably divert them away from each other for a little while and then bring them back together down the line.
You could.
And we'd still be wanting to see it, because if they left it here right now as it's ended, yes, as a faction, the Brutes have beaten Imperium, but obviously Imperium have still got the Intercontinental Championship in their camp. And I don't think either team coming out of this looked weak by any stretch, even though the Brutes won. So I think there's ways.
I think they both look strong. I mean, you're saying a lot of very intelligent stuff. I knew you were smart, but you're even smarter than I knew. I mean, seriously, that's some good booking and good laying out the strategies there. I think it's not going to hurt them. I'm actually ready to see Butch actually get on a singles run. I think ask Pete Dunne and maybe get rid of Butch.
Like I said before, even if they for a while call him like Pete, Butch Dunne or something for a little while, just for the.
I mean, they could, they could still add Butch as a middle name just to have a little ha-ha, but we could take, we're taking him more like, hey, this is a former NXT World Champion, NXT UK star, and and we saw the manipulation on Gunther, which I thought was good, on why he was on the rope, that spot, and I still cringed. You don't need horror movies. Just watch Pete Dunne manipulate joints. That's all you need. Happy Halloween. There you go.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting. I mean, you could keep these guys going. We have War Games coming up. I have a theory about War Games, which we'll get into in a bit into Raw. But
I'm looking forward to it.
But I think again, I'm not the booker, but you could quite easily divert these away, even if you have Gunther, and maybe not say, I'm done with you, I've beaten you twice, now you don't deserve a title shot, and maybe he has a number one contenders match and then Imperium costs Sheamus so he doesn't get another title match, so it then leaves that question in the fans, in my mind, like, can Sheamus beat him? He's come close, but can he beat him? And then this is where you could divert them for a while and, bring them back together, whether that's...
Give them a break.
Yeah. I think so. You could show that at Mania, to be honest, that match for the IC title, or just them two, even if they're not Imperium and Brutes anymore. I think fans would still be excited to see, and obviously the history they've already just created in the last month or so, it could come back full circle, is what I'm getting at.
I think you'd be silly not to be interested if they ever circle back, and I think they would. You brought up some just wonderful observations. It's got me thinking. That's what's fun about doing this podcast with you. You've got me wondering and pondering the what ifs right now. I'm like, man, what's going to happen down the road? So that thank you for that.
I think it's also like it speaks volumes to what's going on. Yes, Raw's too long. We can say that every week. You can take a shot, everybody. Every time I say Raw's too long, you'll probably be drunk by the end of the podcast. But it's just
you need a drink or something.
You need something to to keep you, because like you said last week, it can be a great show, but 3 hours by the last hour you're kind of like, I've had enough now almost. So,
even when it's good, that's what's sad. It can still be a marathon.
It's a shame, really, but maybe that'll get addressed, maybe it won't. And there was a fan said the other day, maybe they'll make SmackDown 3 hours. I was like, please don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Please don't do that.
SmackDown 2 hours, please. Yeah, don't listen to that fan for once. I'm not. I'm normally supportive of fellow fans, but if you're not going to make any common sense in your comments, please don't comment, because we don't need 3 hours of SmackDown.
No, we don't. We got 3 hours of Raw.
You can see your hate tweets at Dustin Tyler 86
and in the corner WWE, because I agree with Tyler. So if you're going to go after one,
he'll take some of the heat for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day when they did like the specials of the drafts and stuff, every now and again there was a 3-hour episode of Raw, like a special. Fine, but not every week. So that's a different podcast in itself.
I hope we get the 2-hour Raw eventually. Yeah. It may just be that with the networks he can't do that right away.
Maybe if they get to the point where they're renewing contracts, maybe, and maybe they'll jig it. Maybe, I don't know if they even stay on US. Is it USA they're still on Raw?
It's USA for Raw, and then Fox, of course,
that's
SmackDown.
That's it. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was USA still, to be honest, for Raw, but it has been for a while.
Well, there was that period they were on TNN for a long time, and then they went back to USA.
That's it. Yeah, because it started on USA, didn't it, back in the day, and then it went to TNN, and then it's come back. That's it. Rustica's correct. Yeah. Right, well, we'll move on. We've still got quite a lot to talk about, to be fair. Not that I'm complaining. Hopefully people are still listening and, and
I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying it myself.
Good.
So y'all need to be enjoying it. That's a public service announcement. If I'm having a good time. If you're not enjoying In the Corner, then you need some help. I'll just tell you.
Do you know what? I'm going to cut that because I purposely didn't say that. I'm going to cut that into a little advert, Tyler, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
I'll put that in the middle of the show somewhere at some point.
Hey, you're using me for some good. So as long as I'm getting good publicity and not bad, that's always a positive. So,
all good. Okay, well, we'll move on. I think it was the second match of the night as well. I didn't want to start on too much of a low. I don't like being the negative guy. But Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey had the potential. As I've already said going into this, it didn't have the best story going in, I don't think, or at least it felt very lackluster, as I think I said. I think there were a couple of mistakes in the ring as well. Some couldn't be helped. Some to follow up after probably could have been helped, but there were. Unfortunately, I'm a big Liv Morgan fan. I'm a big Ronda Rousey fan, but this didn't hit the mark for me, Tyler. How about yourself?
It was very disappointing, this match. You just said it. I mean, two talented ladies. To be honest, the Liv Morgan kind of run, I was kind of glad to see it end, but for them not to have a good match for it to end was very underwhelming. You said lackluster. That would be appropriate. Big fan of Ronda Rousey, happy for her, but I don't know. This just... With all the matches on the card, I hate to say it, this match really failed for me. And after having such a great opening match like we just discussed, the spots you were talking about, the Meteora, the double knee spot, was that one of them?
Well, and the chair as well. Obviously, the chair fell out fine.
The chair, as well, yeah.
I mean, I think that happens, but it was what I think Liv maybe called an audible and said, look, I'll do this to you. And either Ronda
I think she had to, yeah. And some of the shots were a little weak. I understand you got to protect your opponent, but they did. I think a lot of the fans were mentioning how they went as stiff, and there was a lot of the clips, and even people, with all due respect to Hulk Hogan, there was that infamous meme and video where he barely hit somebody with the steel chair, and they were comparing that. And I was like, that's pretty bad. No offense to Hulk Hogan, but it's pretty bad when your Extreme Rules match is becoming a meme in comparison to that kind of chair shot. So
it was a bit with I saw that meme as well. I looked like I didn't know whenabouts that was in WCW, but. Or was it TNA? I'm not even sure where it was from.
No, it was WCW. It was the lean years, I guarantee you.
Yeah, it was just, and there were moments where you could. I'm not saying you should go out there and, like you said, like try and maim people, but like compared to the opening match, you could almost
Make it believable.
You make it believable. That's a good way of putting it, Tyler. I didn't know how to really verbalize it, but yeah, make it believable. And it's a shame because they. I don't want to be sitting here going it was awful, but it wasn't good at all. And it was. There were a couple of little moments, but they're very. To be honest, I don't remember them because of the botches and the things that went wrong. And I think Liv, like I said, with the chair, okay, it fell out. Things happen. It's an inanimate object. It ain't always going to play ball. But she tried to do the, I think it was like a backstabber or the legs into the
I think
Ronda's
backstabber was what I was looking for. It's kind of like a Meteora, but it's those double knees to the back.
Yeah, and the first time she does it, Ronda either didn't hear her, didn't realize what was going on. I don't know. I feel like Liv may have called an audible there, so because the chair fell out. I think the idea was,
it went wrong, and
things happen.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. It is very much a shame. I am a Liv Morgan fan. I still am, and I'm still a Ronda Rousey fan. But the match isn't going to be one. Well,
less than stellar.
Yeah, if it's going to be remembered, it's going to be remembered for the wrong reasons, I think, unfortunately. And I don't like to be sitting here with you and chatting and going, that was god awful, basically.
And it's sad. That makes me appreciate the match I saw live at SummerSlam more after watch, and even the Clash at the Castle. You all no, wait a minute. Now that was Liv and Shayna, wasn't it? My bad.
It was. Yeah,
I'm getting those two confused. That'll happen. I'll probably say, well, Ronda wrestled at a certain pay-per-view. There's so much wrestling that I'm liable to say, well, she wrestled back against Lawler.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that. Ronda's got the title again. I don't know. To be honest, we've got an actual comment over here. Actually, UTT Rob on Twitter, as in terms of the overall pay-per-view, he's saying underwhelming build. I wouldn't say an underwhelming pay-per-view. It certainly wasn't overwhelming. So I don't think he was overly pleased. But the question was, who did it benefit booking Liv Morgan in a competitive match with Ronda Rousey? To be totally honest, from my point of view, Rob, I don't think it benefited anybody. To be totally honest, looking at
it didn't help didn't help elevate them. I mean, not that they needed it because Liv was the SmackDown Women's Champion, and I mean, for crying out loud, Ronda Rousey, but it sure didn't help their case. I hope Ronda's got a great program after this, because I'll tell you, I hate it for both Liv and Ronda, but this was bad.
Yeah, I mean, the smile at the end when Liv passes out was a bit weird, but I think I don't know what. I honestly can't even figure where this is going. I hope Liv and Ronda, I think, will be okay.
Maybe Liv just needs to be crazy to change up her character, like we talked about. Maybe she's going heel. I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously you went with Ronda walking out with the title. I went with Liv. Obviously, you got that one right, so a point to yourself.
I'll actually get one at least.
Yeah.
All through the night.
But I mean, my logic was, let's turn Liv. The fans are already sort of rejecting her. Let's turn her heel and make it innocent. But obviously, they didn't, and Ronda walked out with the championship. So we saw Liv after the fact as well, and she looked very dejected and just sat down and looked a bit, I think, angry and dejected. I think is probably the best way of saying it.
It's a good description.
But yeah, I mean, I don't honestly see, in terms of like Rob's question, like I said, who does it benefit? I don't think it really benefited anybody from my perspective right now as we see here talking about it, Tyler, to be honest.
No, it didn't. It didn't help them. I think it's unfortunate because both these ladies have worked hard. And I want to cheer for Liv. I think the way they've positioned her, which, it may tell us more with the storyline, like you said, maybe she's going to go bad after this, and maybe you put Ronda as the babyface. But I've actually not minded Ronda as being more the villain, but this may be the time to kind of alter both those ladies' characters, and we'll find out more on SmackDown with this whole title picture. But yeah, for it to be a big match on I know it's not one of the bigger shows, but the way they build it, it was a big show, and it fell flat. It was not the result everybody wanted, and it's very sad because I think these two ladies worked hard in that match. It just didn't come across.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't angry about it. It was like lackluster and just very like, come on.
Yeah, I wasn't mad.
You're better than this, people. Come on. Both of them women. Hopefully we'll see Liv dust herself off. Like you said, maybe repackage, fresh coat of paint, heel, possibly. or maybe we see a good resurgence in 6 months' time to a year. She's back on the top of the women's division and hopefully having a better run, because this one is not been good overall. And this match, like
it's not been good, and she just needs to be rebuilt to the word you were talking about. It relates repackaged, and I think she needs time. Not necessarily always away, maybe a little bit, but just feuding with other mid-carders and build her back up.
Yeah, and get her delivering some good, because she has delivered some good matches in the past, to be fair. So has Ronda. So they are both capable. Maybe the dance partner wasn't right. I don't know.
It could be. It's a chemistry issue. Maybe they thought, hey, Ronda and Liv could tear down the house, and that they found out. Well, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching it, I was like, maybe. I mean, the crowd didn't seem overly into it, but then obviously we just had the Donick Brooke match, so I was probably trying to be a bit more like objective with it, and like, oh yeah, but they've just gone through a pretty good match in the first, and maybe they need to have a bit of a rest, But
everyone was on such a high from that first one that unfortunately for them, the ladies match which was the second one, it's like everything was settling back down.
Yeah. That's how I kind of looked at it, but I have watched the match back, and I don't think we can say much more on what we said, really, Tyler, to be honest. But yeah,
I'm not going to add too much, because we pretty much covered it, and I really hate having that perspective, but we got to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not here to be, I'm not going to sit here and rant too much about it, but yeah, I think most people agree that it wasn't good, and it's a shame, and I hopefully. Just to sort of sum it up, which I already have, hopefully they dust themselves off and we have a good story going forward, hopefully, for whether it's together or apart.
Oh, we can hope.
Absolutely. Shall we? Yeah, we'll go Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a strap match. I didn't realise till after the fact that Scarlett's outfit was very reminiscent of Sable. A mate actually pointed out to me. I don't know if you picked up on that, to be honest.
I did not pick up on it, but I mean, if anybody could be a modern day Sable, I mean, it would be Scarlett. Very attractive lady, and I got to tell you, I wasn't hating the get up, the outfit. With all due respect to Karrion Kross and her, I don't want to get him on, or get on the bad side of him, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
She flustered me. You got me flustered when you said that. I want to say, where's that picture again?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think a mate of mine said, I don't know how he gets any work done, Karrion Kross, to be totally honest. So there we go.
Yeah, I'd be distracted all the time. I think Lawler said it. He's like, man, have you seen that Scarlett lady? He's like, he's just being unreal. She's a very, very attractive woman.
Yeah, imagine him on commentary back in the like if he'd have been on commentary back in the day.
If he would have been on that match, that's all we'd hear about. Oh, Scarlett, she's got the strap or something.
Yeah. Pretty good match, actually, to be honest. The build has been building for a while.
It has.
Some of the whips and stuff like that with the straps always make me cringe. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, ugh, like even.
Yeah, I was hurting.
Yeah, definitely. This is where I get one of my points back though, Tyler, because I went with Cross, and you
did.
I actually got that one right for a change.
No, I think that what we were both looking at, as much as we like Drew McIntyre, they've built up Karrion Kross so well that it'd be hard for him to lose. So with it being his first big match on a big show, I mean, he had to go over. And this was a brutal match, as any of the strap matches are. And also, I love how they mentioned Sting and Vader. Used to, they probably couldn't mention that. I think that's some of the changes we're seeing that's under Triple H that I'm liking. Why not? That's still part of history. You've got their library, speaking of WCW, and I think, Sting, even though he's in AEW, and you got Vader, who, God rest his soul, has passed on, they'd be proud of that match, because it was a little throwback, and I enjoyed it. I thought they told a very painful story, and they were right, the commentators, that Kross does match up. As big as McIntyre is, and he's still taller, Kross is just about as big, so it made a lot of sense why they were programmed together.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, Scarlett got involved with the mace or the pepper spray, or whatever. And
I didn't see that coming. I wondered how they were going to finish it, but that was actually not bad. I didn't mind it, because I'm thinking she's got to be a factor. And Drew McIntyre was getting ready to do the Claymore, and that's when that was that spot. She got maced him.
As long as it's not another fireball, that's my only gripe about this. This whole thing is that
as long as we didn't get the fireball segment, you were happy. I mean, we'll take Mace over fireball anytime.
Absolutely. Drew McIntyre. That's he's had some wins on the daily sort of shows, but in terms of pay-per-view, that's 2 in a row now where he's walked away with the loss. So Karrion Kross moving on to, I don't know whether this is over yet between these two. Obviously, there's still some. Obviously, the fact that Scarlett got involved with the mace and everything could lead on to another.
I don't know if they are finished. I think they may at least continue it a little bit more, but you never know.
Do you see Karrion Kross in the, I don't know. I honestly can sit here. We are starting to see people being built up and stuff, but who actually dethrones Roman? Could you see Karrion Kross being the guy to do that?
Not right now.
Not right now. No.
Yeah. Oh, eventually
down the line is what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, my bad. I misunderstood you.
No.
No, I think eventually, he could be a potential candidate, but definitely need to give him more time, get him wins over people like McIntyre that's faced Roman, and really get his equity up, and that's what they're doing. So I think that he would be a smart candidate, to be somebody that nobody would expect, and could match up with Roman and be a different style that Roman would have to really guess, like anybody. How am I going to beat this guy? And he's got Scarlett, so she could account for some of the bloodline interference because he would at least have Scarlett. He could align with somebody. Who knows?
Be interesting to see who he would align with, if any, apart from Scarlett, obviously. But maybe the Drew and Karrion Kross is not quite over yet. We both went for Kross on that one as well, Tyler. So you're still ahead of me on that one.
I know, and I'm about as shocked as anybody, because with these predictions, it's always fascinating to me how the matches are going to go, because my luck would be I would have picked them all a certain way, and that's when somebody would have, or all the wrestlers would have lost or something.
Yeah, it's you're beating me at the moment, so I think actually looking through the rest of the list, Tyler, to be fair, I think you've beaten me, to be honest. Anyway, I think
I can claim victory. I don't want to say
so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know why. Well, we're going to move on to that match now anyway. But yeah, the strap match was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, like you said, the finish I figured Scarlett would get involved somehow, but I thought it was going to be more of in the ring and trying to stop McIntyre from hitting him or whatever. But actually, the mace thing I didn't see coming at all. So something different.
I did not either.
It was overall good match. So again, I think the match tonight, I think we both agree, was probably Donnybrook to a degree.
The first match, it still couldn't beat that first match, even though I enjoyed this one. There was something, an element to the Donnybrook match that just stole the show for me.
Yeah, as we said at the top of the show, it could have been quite easily the main event, couldn't it? Good match. Again, if you haven't seen this pay-per-view, there are some, despite the fact of how it all ended, which I think is going to a degree, I do worry that will overshadow some of these matches, but overall, some of the matches are really good. In terms of story, though, we'll move on to the other one in a bit. Before we get there, though, the Raw Women's Championship, Belair versus Bayley in a ladder match, which, again, first time ever, which I didn't realise we already spoke about, obviously, on the prediction show. I wouldn't say it was... I don't dislike this match, Tyler, but I would say it didn't quite live up to the hype, maybe, or maybe it didn't have much of a build up to it. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I actually got to say I enjoyed the match. I'm not going to say it was the greatest thing in the world, but I mean the way these women have been building their storyline. Now I'm with you. It hasn't had a long build, but I do like the whole Damage Control taking on Bianca Belair and Bayley getting her opportunity. And I like the fact that we were kind of guessing, well, is Bianca going to lose the belt? But they made the right call, and I say WWE, not that I would know, but just that to keep it on the EST, because she, to me, I like long title reigns, and I think for Bayley to get it, I just don't know. Just because she's made the big return at SummerSlam, I don't think you just hot potato that title just yet.
Yeah. No, it makes it. I enjoyed the match, like I said. I think the build for me wasn't enough to get me really invested, but as the match went on,
I got you. It
was like really good. I
completely respect it.
Yeah. The finish, that blimmin' like moonsault or whatever with that ladder, that landed on Bailey or whatever it was like I was like, oh, Bailey landed on her fingers or whatever, and I'm like, watch your fingers. I'm like, oh God.
Oh yeah, that made me cringe too. There were some spots with those ladders that were brutal, and man, that spot where Bianca, what was it, a double KOD on Dakota
That's
Kai?
it, yeah.
And, Io Sky, that was a cool spot.
Yeah,
because I'm
it was
wondering
cool.
how is she going to be able to beat and overcome the odds, because both Asuka and Bliss were supposedly injured, so she had no backup, and that was a clever way. And I'm trying to remember the finish, because that was getting close to it. You'll have to help me out, because it was neat how they changed up. That's the thing; the finishes are even different, and I'm having to recall it. And I saw it on Saturday, but it was really neat.
Do you know what? I don't remember much after the KOD and then the ladder. I think that was pretty much the finish, and she climbed the ladder and grabbed the title. I think, but because those.
No, I think that's it. There was just so many memorable spots. Even watching the match, or whether taking notes or just looking at highlights again, I was trying to sit here thinking, well, how did that happen? What was the next sequence? I'm just interested now going back.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it, because it is one of those matches that I was a bit like, I feel like it should be more of a bigger deal than it was made to be. But as the match went on, it's one of those matches where I was a bit like, yeah, it's going to be okay, I think. And then it went from okay to being, this is good. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the story that's being told, and even though I went with, I think I went with Bailey, didn't I? To be honest, for my pick.
I think you went with Bailey, and that's not a bad pick. But I just felt like Bianca has a lot going for her, and I didn't feel like she was going to lose the belt, even though Bailey was a great challenger and somebody that could have easily beat her. I think it's timing right now.
I think you must be in the minority, because I put a poll up on Twitter as the show was going on for each match, and 70%, I think it was, went to Bailey becoming the new champion. So, everybody thought Bailey was going to take it, I think, or at least a lot. I would say probably 90% of people thought Bailey was going to walk out.
It was popular opinion.
So, well done for you. That's put you clear ahead, mate, and we've pretty much gone with the same picks after this, so you've won the night in terms of predictions.
What's that number percentage? Because I want to poll on how right I was on that. No, because that may be my only times why I'm going to act like I'm going to brag. So.
Well, I think you've got them all right. Apart, I think it was we both got the Imperium match wrong, because the Brutes won it. So
they showed us, didn't they? They were like, hey. Everybody wants to pick against us. We're going to win this thing.
It was good. It was definitely the match of one of the matches. I think the in terms of story, match of the night. If we move on to Edge versus Finn Balor in the I Quit match, a slow start for me, but definitely got better and better as this match played out. I mean, how do you see this?
I think it did get a lot better once they settled in, and they worked hard. To me, the finish really was better than the match, even though the match was good. I just I don't mean to skip ahead, but the story they told at the end, I'll tell you, I talked to you about this on the prediction show, that I wasn't really buying into Dominic Mysterio as a heel. But I'll tell you, patience is a virtue, because after this and what we saw on Raw, now I'm a believer. And I'm not just talking about the monkey song. I do really invest now and am convinced, and I know Rhea had a lot to do with it, but Dominic, give him a lot of credit. And I like how Beth Phoenix, I think you may have called that, she did get involved. That's what it took for Edge to say, I quit, and then Rhea went against that word, and then the steel chair shot. But I love that encounter prior, because we are going to get that dream match between Rhea and Beth, and probably even in a tag team match scenario somehow between Judgment Day and Edge. So I think Finn had to go over. I think he deserves the push, and as much as I like Edge, I think I love the way they ended it. So how did you feel about it?
Well, exactly the same, to be honest. Finn's mask is a bit questionable, but we'll leave it at that.
Oh, yeah. I think people with the memes were Shockmaster or something.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was trying to emulate maybe Hellraiser, maybe, or something.
Oh, it could have been Hellraiser, because it was trending. Maybe that's the better, with all due respect to Tugboat, we all know how Shockmaster went. But.
Yeah. Even if you're not a full-on WCW fan, everybody knows how the Shockmaster thing went down,
He was trying to debut, and that wall was just in the way and, crashing through. So.
Use a door, maybe, next time. That's what
I think now he's thinking that in the creative for WCW was thinking the same thing. Oh, let's put a door there.
Yeah. So it made me laugh. The the I Quit match. Again, it was quite a slow start for me, like I've already said, but the way it's panned out, the heat that Judgment Day have got after this is the heat they needed, because I feel like they were kind of hated and they're being booed, but this is now like it feels like genuine hate now, because not only they threatened to hit Beth with the concerto. If you don't quit, so Edge quits, obviously to protect his wife. They did it anyway, but before that, you also had Dominic actually physically assault his dad, and the crowd were really booing that. So, I think
a lot of things tied in and that's what I'm saying. That made me a believer of Dominic's heel turn as kind of the Punk. Judgment Day was the correct vehicle, because I was kind of questioning why he needed to be aligned with that group, and now he's benefited. I'll go back to a word you use. I mean, I think they all have from this whole angle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, the right heat, as long as they can keep that momentum going. I got a bit of a theory.
Oh, and Edge with the low blow, too. I forgot about that spot. Yeah. That was good, where he got him back from Clash at the Castle, where Dominic did him, and then he got him in that. I was like, I kind of popped for that, because I'm like, that's the way you get the story going back.
Yeah. A little like callback, like you said, to Clash of the Castle. And No, overall, in terms of storytelling, the wrestling was good, but in terms of storytelling, really good. And actually, probably the first time since Judgment Day came out, I was interested in Judgment Day when Edge was a part of it. I was interested when they kind of broke away from him, but I was a bit like, I don't feel like they hadn't quite hit their stride. And with this Extreme Rules, if they can keep this type of thing going, we've got a good heel faction coming out of this. And obviously, at some point, I believe Ray is going to, he's going to probably take a few more, almost like Kane and Undertaker back in the day. Undertaker wouldn't fight his brother. Obviously, their brother's a bit different from a father-son, but at some point, I believe Ray is not going to be able to take it for much longer. Put it this way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're teasing where Ray's going to have to defend himself eventually. I think it's been masterful. Like you said, storytelling's a big part of wrestling. I mean, it's crucial. And it's evident what we're seeing transpire. That's, to me, as good as the match was, that's where the storytelling was so good it overshadowed it in a way.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. But I'm definitely interested to see where this goes going forward. Obviously, we had the moment between Rhea and Beth as well, which I almost forgot about, which I couldn't believe, which we've been waiting for a while, I think. Rhea versus Beth.
That was great.
Yeah. Crowd were into that big time, and I was popping for that at the time. The brass knucks were... and she borrowed them from Regal. Regal must have left them behind when he left WWE.
William Regal, War Games is coming up and Survivor Series, and he thought, hey, just because I'm in AEW, there's your brass knucks. You can pick it up. There you go.
Yeah, Regal should have been a bit more of I know he had a couple of like groups or whatever, and a bit of a faction in ECW back in the day, but like in terms of the WWE ECW, but he should have been like a leader more of a faction, a heel faction. I think would have been really good. But
Oh, I love anything William Regal does. He just, like you said, he's just a consummate professional. He knows psychology. He's a great wrestler. He's great at about anything. So just give me William Regal any day of the week.
Hold down your wrestling promotion. Started off with William Regal. That's what.
Yeah, just have him come in, and I just want him to come back. Even if AEW could just agree and just have him say War Games, and then they can have him back. And
well, yeah, I don't know whether they would allow
that's
that.
That's not going to happen. That's my fantasy booking.
Yeah.
Kind of like, Billy Gunn. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself with Raw because it all ties in. So, forgive me. I'm jumping all over the place.
No worries. Well, we've only got one more match. Obviously, I will say our picks quickly. We both went for Finn Balor on that one. It made sense for us, and obviously it's panned out. It panned out probably a bit more violently than... And even in terms of story going forward, Beth knocked out already, then also hit with a concerto, and Dominic hitting his father, and
much more than I expected.
Absolutely, which I'm glad actually. I like that because it leaves it open to potential matches and stories down the line.
Yeah, we suspend our disbelief. A point you made earlier.
Yeah. I was like, part of me was like, when Rhea did the concerto, I was like, I knew when Edge said I quit, they were still going to do it anyway. In my head, I was like, they're still going to do this, regardless of what Edge does. Edge could give him $1 million or whatever, and then still they would hit Beth with those chairs, because I think the Rhea actually uttered the words "you taught us too well" before she did it as well.
Yeah, they learn from the master, and if you're going to be the true, heel or heels, plural, because of a group, then you've got to do stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we ended up with, because I didn't know if the I Quit match was going to be the main event or whether it was going to be Riddle versus Seth, and it ended up being Riddle versus Seth, which is one of the matches we highlighted as being matches of the night. We both went for Riddle on this one, so again, points to us. We got that one correct, because it's kind of like with the Cross McIntyre situation, even Finn Balor Edge scenario, I felt like Riddle needed the win. Yeah, no, 100%. This is actually my first experience watching a fight pit match, because I'd never seen the others before. And the UFC fight, I forgot, how do you say his name?
Yeah, Cormier something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier.
I think he did quite a good job, actually, to be fair. He wasn't too much in the way. He
did his job. I think he knows enough to just stay out of the way, and I liked how he told each man, he had to get a little bit physical without really needing to do too much, and that's all he was required of him. So I thought he did a fine job. And, hey, here's a little disclaimer: I have not got to watch this match either, a fight pit match.
Oh, okay. So this is both our. What are you thinking about the fight pit match then? Because this is my first rodeo, so to speak, on this one.
I thought it was pretty neat. I kind of like the concept, how they could go up top, but you still have to win it down on the canvas in the mat and stuff. And I thought it posed a lot of unique, intricate ways of how you could tell the story. So I was fine with it. I was going to ask you, though. I was scared for Matt Riddle because it looked like he slipped a little bit off trying to do that senton or whatever that splash was.
The senton at the end. Yeah. To be honest, when I don't know whether it was the camera angle or what, but it looked like he slipped, I agree. But also, when he came down and hit Seth, I don't know whether he slipped so he didn't have as much control as you would have, as much as you can have when you toy with gravity, essentially.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
It looked like he hit Seth hard. Whether that was meant to or he didn't quite get the... I don't know whether it's the camera angle, but it didn't look like he jumped far enough. It didn't look right when he hit Seth. I was like, oh,
I was cringing for both of them, because I'm like, either way, you guys are going to be hurting.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match, actually. To be honest, I think there's a lot more potential with that match type as well. Obviously, my first sort of viewing of it. It's a good way, also, I feel, to. I mean, it's going back to the old school end of rivalry in a cage match, isn't it? But it's
got a lot of old school elements.
Yeah, it's evolved a bit in a sense of it's no ropes and got a bit of a platform at the top, and then obviously it's submission only, which is cool. I always do enjoy a good submission match.
Because it makes you have to change up the way you go about the match, your strategy if you're a certain wrestler. And Seth, this was out of his comfort zone, and it did favor Riddle, but Seth did a great job of competing against Riddle. But at the end, the submissions are the strong suit of Riddle, and it paid off at the end for him.
I don't know whether it's just me, but whether you view it this way, but when it's a submission match, I think you're more... You pay more attention, I think, because you're waiting for that move to be locked in, and a tap out can occur. I'm not going to say the tap out came out of nowhere in this match, but it's all of a sudden it happened. It was like, oh, crikey, obviously Seth tried to fight him off.
Yeah, it's like they had to do it around 10 or something.
Yeah, so
probably because of time.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was good. I enjoyed it, actually.
I did too. I thought it was good.
I mean, again, I've always liked the idea of possibly having a match like that, but you have like a ladder match and the title's hung above the cage or something like that as well. I always thought that'd be quite cool to do a ladder match inside a steel cage. But, I don't know how that would work.
That would be neat.
Logistically.
Man, you got me intrigued. Yeah. Now I want to see it.
Well, if anybody steals the idea, which I'm sure somebody has already done it, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure maybe Stampede Wrestling back in the day did it, maybe, without us knowing. I don't know. But
it could have been, the Hearts promotion.
Yeah. No, good match, though. again, I keep coming back to the Donnybrook match. Was I'm not saying it. I feel like that is the match of the night for me. I even nothing against Riddle, Edge and Finn Balor. The story was brilliant. Drew McIntyre and Karen Cross. We've still got. I think we've come to the conclusion that there's still more to come in that one. But the Riddle Seth one obviously was good in the sense of finality. Like, we're now done with this, and we're going to move on.
Yeah.
To our next opponents, whoever they might be.
I think it's time, and we kind of we found out the night after actually that this was the conclusion. That's true, because it made me have to go back and recall, and Raw really told us a lot. It revealed a lot, even after a show that we'll get to it. That speaking of reveals, that's a teaser.
Yeah, well done. Good. It's almost like you've done podcasts before.
I've done a few, but thankfully I've got people who know what they're talking about that can help me. So like yourself.
See, I got to the point. I'll tell you from my perspective. You can tell me from yours after. But the Riddle match ends. Good match. Enjoyed it. I got to be some crack ribs in there somewhere. I feel like there must be, at least in terms of.
Got to be some injuries. Yeah.
Definitely some aching going on the next day, I would imagine. And I'm thinking, well, we've had a couple of teasers, in terms of, we had some on the pre-show as well with the White Rabbit, and it took over the broadcast, and it did it in the Donnybrook match, I think, as well. And there was then the Extreme Rules logo copyright thing came up on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm like, oh, they're not... what? So what's all this QR? And in my head's going like a million miles an hour. And so the thing comes up on the screen. I'm going, well, okay, they're not doing it then. Who is this? Who is this QR code? Are they going to do more tomorrow night? And before I can even finish the thought, the thing disappears and the lights go out. And I went, oh. And I literally marked out big time for this because they teased it right to the last moment.
Which I thought was brilliant because they had me too. I was like, okay, I guess we're not going to see the identity of the White Rabbit, or if it's going to be who we think it is. And sure enough, they were just making us think a little bit longer. It was coming.
It was even talking about it with you now. Again, I must have watched this at least 15 times, Tyler, to be honest with you. And I have. Yeah,
you were very honest about it. You've watched it more times than I have, and I've went back and reviewed it, and I would, be in agreement. It was very masterful the way they did it, and I'll tell you, this may be easily, as far as at least the modern day and throughout wrestling, one of the better jobs that they've done with this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been a lot of not negativity. There's been a lot of shots from AEW fans as well, which I'll talk about probably another time. But about the whole Bray Wyatt coming out, it wound me up a little bit, to be honest. But anyway, back to the point. It's a case of, I wouldn't let myself believe this was Bray, even though at this point we have seen the characters from the Firefly Funhouse. We've seen the Firefly Funhouse. And then we have a person coming out in a mask with the lantern, which should be and clearly be Bray Wyatt. But until the mask actually came off, Tyler, I was still going, please, 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 please. And when the mask came off, the crowd popped big time. And I had to be quite reserved because we're talking about 4 a.m. for me.
Yeah.
So
you didn't want to wake up everybody at 4 a.m. because that's true with the time difference over in Great Britain. But I'm with you. I was still kind of not trying to get overly excited because I'm thinking this could all just be one big swerve.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would have been perfect too. But I'm thinking it's got to be Bray after that lantern, and then seeing the characters. I mean, just enough of that ending tease, and I'm with you. But to see Bray Wyatt back was surreal. I'm like, okay, this has confirmed that they really teased it on SmackDown prior. I did catch the clip of the latest White Rabbit vignette. And people can say what they want to about Bray Wyatt, but I have never found anybody more creative and as well-versed in his character than I have of Wyndham Rotunda, who is Bray Wyatt. Just amazing.
I mean, to get a character over like The Fiend in this day and age, obviously, back in the Attitude Era, along with The Undertaker, it probably would have made sense. But to get that character over in this day and age, with the mask and everything, and people, screaming "holy" and all that kind of stuff. It's, I think it's pretty impressive, and I'm very looking forward to seeing what he does. I think he's going to be on SmackDown by the sounds of it.
I think for SmackDown, that's what I heard. And I was just going to add this point, just real quick, for fans to have missed him and have appreciated him to come back and WWE for re-signing him. Here's the deal. That shows you that going away does help. Whether you want to admit it or not. I mean, because Bray Wyatt, as talented as he is, he's still to me an attraction. So this was perfect. I mean, it's easy for me to say after the fact, but it's just another great example of this.
Yeah, it's a great way of, like you said, it's a refresh, a restart, however you want to look at it. I think it's a great way of, it hasn't been that long really in retrospect of how long he's been away, but he's been away long enough.
Yeah, it's been long enough where people, and with all the rumors and the teasing from the White Rabbit videos and cryptic messages, we've talked about it. It's made everybody anticipate it more and more, and it's the build within our own excitement plus what we're seeing, really unfold in front of the camera. So it all ties in together nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did notice, we'll move on to Raw as well. Obviously, I know you've seen it. We'll do a brief overview.
Yeah, I did get to watch it.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed Raw this week. I think the show flowed pretty well overall. Maybe I did watch maybe about an hour and a half, then went and did some other stuff and came back. So maybe that might be why. Because I tell you what, sitting there for 3 hours is a long time, as we've already said.
It can be tough. You have to be moving, doing something, maybe even have it in the background, or if there's a certain match or segment that entices you, then you're kind of finding yourself focusing on it.
Yeah. I do want to break, because obviously we just talked about Bray Wyatt. I can't wait to see what that guy does next and what's going to be happening going forward.
Yeah. Even if I don't get to watch SmackDown, if there's a highlight just dedicated to what Bray's going to do, I'm going to be all for it. I'll be
absolutely.
watching.
I will say there was a segment in Raw where a QR code was on the back of a chair. So they are still teasing QR. I didn't get a chance to scan it. I haven't actually looked it up yet to see what it was about. But there was a QR code on, I think it was either the back of a chair or somebody's T-shirt. I can't remember now. There was somebody in the background, like just doing
very
whatever.
interesting.
So there's
I missed that, and I watched Raw, but I guess that's what I'm saying. Even little details is what's so neat, because I don't recall that, but I'm not doubting it. I'm glad they did it.
I tell you what, though, if you look away for half a second, you'd missed it because it was in the background, and it was just, I can't remember if it was on a chair or on somebody's T-shirt, Tyler, to be totally honest with you, but it was there and it was gone. It was gone like almost like that. So,
See, I love what they're doing there. And how the commentators don't always acknowledge it. Speaking, with all due respect to Roman Reigns, but those reveals with the QR codes, I think that's brilliant storytelling too in its own way.
I actually like the fact they didn't mention these videos or QR codes or social media or anything like that, to be honest, during this whole build up to Extreme Rules,
because it made the surprise that much more meaningful and special.
Yeah, 100%. I think we already touched upon it very quickly, but we've got to mention the fact that DX were opening the show. I know we kind of talked about it earlier. I did find it funny that Triple H was wearing the glasses, which I
did too. Like very stoic, sitting in his chair.
It just reminded me of Vince McMahon, to be honest, because you see old clips of him backstage wearing those types of glasses. Whether they're Vince's or whether Triple H genuinely needs them, I don't know. But I did feel like now he's become the old man, if that makes sense, especially with the DX
he
guys.
has. He's had to, and that's a fair comparison, because they were saying it, trying to do the frat boy stuff, and Triple H was convincing them, hey, listen, I've got to run Raw, man. I'm in a big position now. You guys can't just come in here. And to be fair, Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg is all in great positions in WWE, but it was funny how they played on that. Yeah. So I thought that was clever. It was just typical DX. In subtle ways. They can't go back in time and do the full-on DX. It was a different era, but they still gave us just enough to where we were pleased. We were laughing.
I was start of Raw. I was chuckling I was laughing. I was like, yeah, this is good. I like this. They didn't do much else really. We saw a couple of segments backstage with Road Dogg making a match for next week. Can he even do that?
Yeah, we did. He was, I guess he can. That's what even Corey Graves, or I think Kevin Patrick, the new guy that's been the interviewer, I think that's what they were even saying. Can Road Dogg make a match? But he did. Him and Michaels. I guess with Michaels, though, maybe being over NXT. What was it, Loomis and Miz? I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but that's been some pretty interesting TV. But I'm still perplexed on where they're going with it. That's one of the things. I'm glad you said that,
because I'm like, what? Where is this going? Are we? It's just taken because we've had no dialogue at all from Loomis whatsoever. He's just been coming after for Miz.
Yeah.
Even at Extreme
And it's
Rules,
like
so.
it's been birthday segments or just certain segments where they're celebrating something, or he's backstage with Miz, like at Extreme Rules, which I do like how they tied that for this following Raw, keeping that story going without them needing to have a match.
Yeah, it's good.
With the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers, I'm assuming. But anytime I get to see, and I'm being honest with respect, I say this with all the dignity that I can't have missed, but to see Maurice come out is worth it. I really, I revealed too much. Speaking of reveals, I probably should have shut up.
Nah, don't worry about it. We're just going to like glide through Raw a little bit and choose some of the best moments.
That's his cue for saying, well, we're going to move on.
Well, to be fair, the Maurice stress was, yeah, we need to move on. So,
yeah, we do.
Yeah, the that woman, yeah, wow, yeah, wow,
yeah. Well, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I normally tease this during the Attitude Years podcast that I've been lucky to do, and anytime Sable or some attractive lady comes out, I have to. That's what we do. We transition to the next match because we're going to get ourselves deeper and deeper in trouble.
Hey, we were all 17 once, it happens.
Yeah, so, I still have to be careful 17 don't creep back up.
We are definitely moving on now. So DX, I'm going to sort of jump all over the place with Raw this week. There are some good moments in here in terms of stories and stuff, but DX closed the show. I'm not going to say it was as exciting as maybe the 1000th episode of Raw was back in about 2013, I think it was 2014, something like that.
I think so. It's been some years.
Yeah. So, they closed the show. It was all right, but the opening segment was better in a sense of them trying to coax Triple H to not do his job and stuff like that. But yeah,
I thought it was fantastic.
It was good fun. One thing that I am always, and I like the way they've progressed this, especially with Roman not being on TV as much, like regularly, but the Bloodline story with Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Sikoa, and Jimmy and all that. And again, we saw a bit more of this on Raw this week. And now Roman wanted to lay into Jey, I think, a little bit. But Sami said, you put me in charge of him, let me handle this. And then Jey convinced him to have a match. Like, who did he have against Riddle?
Yeah,
wasn't
it's entertaining. Yeah, Riddle. Yeah. See what happened. Sammy has just been so funny. He said "Usi" or something, and then the crowd was, and that was funny. Yeah, that was great. I mean, you just had to say one word, and then I don't think Riddle was allowed to say it, or some of the words that the Bloodline used. And I like the whole. The build up between, Jay, or wait a minute, is it Jimmy and Sammy, like you were saying? It was just, it's so entertaining because eventually they're going to have to turn on him. But people have compared the Owen Hart Nation of Domination spot. So that's been interesting with Sammy being in the Bloodline. I don't know that. I don't know if that's a fair comparison, but it sure is interesting.
Okay, that's good. I didn't even think of it that way, to be fair. So, Jay obviously doesn't hide the fact that he doesn't like Sammy, doesn't trust Sammy and everything. But when Roman ends up leaving the building, taking Sikoa with him, Paul Heyman, they go to Manhattan apparently, go and have a few cocktails.
They're going to have a party or something.
I can't imagine Roman Reigns, the head of the table, drinking a Cosmopolitan in Manhattan, but there we go.
I want that picture. Is that going to leak out here? We got the head of the table.
We'll have to Photoshop it.
Yeah, if somebody can Photoshop and go, here's Roman. He was with Paul Heyman. They're out partying in Manhattan. Yeah, with some fancy restaurant or something.
Yeah, and then Roman said to Jey, you'll stay and you've got to make sure Sammy wins his match. Then during the match, Sammy's like, stop getting involved, Jey, I can handle it. You told me to handle it. So there's a miscommunication there. Ultimately, Sammy loses to Matt Riddle. Jey Uso finds it quite amusing. Jimmy's a bit more like, what the hell? Sammy's like, what the hell? So it's going to be interesting on what happens with that, whether it happens on SmackDown or whether we're on next week on Raw. But yeah, this whole Bloodline story is, again, something I tune into to see how it's going to pan out with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn, I've got to give him some props here. That guy has taken everything he's been given and made it pretty much. This is probably the best thing he's done recently. But
yeah, I think it's some of his best work now, and he's done some remarkable stuff. I think, Sami Zayn is one of those that's underrated, and it took me a lot of time to really get his character, but now it's starting to click with me. he is just so captivating, and I think him and the Bloodline is ingenious on WWE's creative. I mean, it's really gave the Bloodline a kind of freshen them up from a different point of view. I mean, what are you seeing there? That's kind of my take a little bit.
Yeah, I agree 100%, to be honest. It's he's just, I don't know how it's going to play out. I feel, would they kick Jay out of the Bloodline and favor Sammy? I can see that happening.
I can too, and that way, Jay's got to maybe feud with him again. Wouldn't that be a turn of events? Because we saw that earlier, but they could go back to it due to Sammy. Or if they do kick Sammy out, a lot of people want to see him and KO reform and maybe challenge.
Oh yeah, there is that as well. I didn't think of that actually. I mean, there's been talk for years about Rock coming in, and I'm obviously being the Hanoi family and everything. Like, are we going to see Rock Roman? I don't know.
I don't know, but I've saw the clips of interviews he's just recently done, and everybody's of course asking him that his views on the Bloodline or if he acknowledges Roman. Of course, one he said he does, and then the other's like he's the head of the table. So there's a little subtleties there that makes you wonder: are we going to get it? That's the beautiful thing about wrestling. You just never know. I mean,
I think I don't know. When I first heard it, I was like, I'd quite like to see that. And as it's gone on, Roman has taken on a life of his own with this title run, the Bloodline, Heyman. Do we necessarily need to see it? I don't know, but I suppose it would make a good match for people to see. And I don't think I would. It's not like I'm going to turn it off if it does happen. But I just don't know whether we necessarily, and not for the title. I don't know. But then I suppose it would have to be, and maybe I think I'd be happy with it as long as Roman walks out with the title. No offense to The Rock. The Rock's amazing. But if you're going to do it, I feel like you probably need to have Roman sort of be the victor.
You still got to push him.
Yeah,
you still got to have Roman as going over being your champion. I fully see where you're going with that. I definitely want to see the match, but I see the other side of it that you're pointing out there. Yeah. Do we really, even need it at this point? But I think just because they're going to be in Hollywood and it's been the match everybody's talking about, they're actually relatives and they're both, The Rock was for his era and still just one of the biggest stars, not just in wrestling but Hollywood. That now you got Roman as the big star in wrestling, and he's done some film thanks to The Rock and all those connections, and to see how they can make sense of a story to play out for WrestleMania. I think that's enough to what they're thinking of, the box office aspect of it.
It would definitely, and I don't know whether it's a case of maybe Roman loses the title and then Rock comes out and says, well, you're clearly not the head of the table, and yet he's been champion for X amount of years. And it could lead that way, so maybe the title doesn't need to be involved with it. I don't know. It could
Very possible.
It could be a family feud, maybe. So there we go.
And that would be something. I hate to keep being redundant with that word, but it comes to mind that you could do like a family feud. And we're not talking the game show. We're talking they're going to wrestle.
We call it family fortunes over here.
Family fortunes. Well, that is neat. Yeah, it's. It's the family feud over here, but Family Fortunes has a nice ring to it.
I don't know which came first. I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I don't either, so I can't claim bragging rights for us either. I'm not going to say it.
Is it Steve Harvey, isn't it?
Steve Harvey's the one over here.
The clips I see on TikTok and YouTube and stuff. He's a funny guy, so it's.
He's very entertaining.
What else happened on Raw? Johnny Gargano. I love the fact that Gargano. So he took on Theory. Theory's been losing a lot lately, even though he's Money in the Bank winner. We didn't even touch upon that before Extreme Rules. I suppose the title wasn't being there, but I mean, are we going to see Theory cash this in at any point? I have no idea. But Gargano, and he's lost to Gargano. He's lost to KO. I love the fact that Gargano, by the way, is winning with that DDT over the top rope.
I love that move.
One of my biggest pet peeves ever has been when somebody gets hit by a DDT and then they literally don't sell it, and it annoys the hell out of me.
I can't stand that because that has been a finisher, and it's kind of like the super kick now. Everybody's kind of doing it for a moveset instead of the finish. But for Gargano to make that his finisher, that final heartbeat, I love that he's brought that back and where the match is over. I mean, and he did it twice actually, which to make sure his opponent was down. Speaking of Theory, but. You wonder about what direction Theory's going to go because he is the Money in the Bank winner, and he's very talented, obviously, as well, and the look and everything. But Gargano is actually the new guy as far as the roster. He's Theory, let's be fair, has got the push and been on the main roster more than Gargano. But this is a way to get Gargano to be built up on the main roster. But I don't know how much or how many times Theory needs to lose, though, because you do feel like, well, we don't need to bury him. But I get why, Gargano went over.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've liked it. I feel like Theory's been, maybe they're doing this on purpose. I feel like Theory's been given sort of a back seat at the moment, and then obviously when he has matches, he's kind of not on the winning end half the time now. And I've noticed he's not really doing the selfie thing as much now. Whether that's a way of keeping me in the shadows, and then when he does cash in, it's like, oh my god, we forgot about Theory type sort of vibe. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. I'll tell you something else too. People are going to probably send their hate tweets at me for saying this, but maybe they could even do like not quite the same, but like a Baron Corbin at part of me kind of thing, where Theory keeps losing, and like you're saying, that's where he comes out of the shadows, and this is the catalyst that he needs. I mean, maybe that's kind of coming out of left field, but I'm trying to think outside the box a little about it.
I mean, I was under the impression, I've said on the podcast many times, that maybe Theory gets too cocky, puts the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line, and somebody else ends up with it. I don't know. I could see that happening. But
where maybe it humbles him, and eventually he's been such a good heel, maybe he'd be primed for a babyface run then.
I think he works. I could see that happening, but I think at the moment, especially the way he's been, maybe that's
so natural.
He's so natural as a heel. I don't know whether it would take a bit of work, I think, for him to be the baby face. Maybe not. They could probably do it in one night. I don't know. I quite like the fact that he's the heel. He's been a bit not as loud as he has been, but maybe they're doing this on purpose. I'm hoping they're not going to like strip everything away, because despite the fact, yes, I know he was Vince's boy, maybe that's why they're doing it, because obviously everything else is going on outside the company, or was. So you kind of want to distance him, maybe. Well,
and it makes a compelling storyline, even if that's not even the reason. Just to say, because Vince was involved in storylines with the company, and they were seen together, and why not still, play with that a little bit, even if it's not anything to do with what's going on in real life. I think it's still pretty clever.
Yeah, nah. I think there were some good matches on Raw. I don't think we need to necessarily go for everything. Obviously, Gargano's other half, Candice LeRae's back. She beat I think she beat Dakota Kai, didn't she? I think, if I remember rightly, if I'm trying to remember.
No, I think she beat Bayley.
Was she against Bayley? Oh yes,
I think she was against Bayley. Now Bayley, she did face Dakota Kai. No, that's okay. I had to look. Actually, I'll admit I've got results pulled up, so that I've told on myself.
The Dakota Kai match was on the 3rd of October, so I've that was the wrong one.
No, but hey, you were still not off, because she did face her. I mean, that's true. But Bayley, and what happened? Bayley got beat. So it's almost like we were talking Theory. This is intriguing, because now she's lost twice. And I know they got to build up LeRae, and they did get the heat though on her, because Damage Control came out.
That's it. That's it. I remember.
Yeah, Bianca was going to help her, but then they attacked her and I guess they did get some retribution from the ladder match and her not winning. So I can see the logic. But it's even when I can see the logic, I don't know about you, it still got me a little confused. I'm still trying to think of scenarios how to get me to that point.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be at some point. It will come together, like so you said with the whole Dominic thing. Patience is a virtue sometimes. You don't need
it is, and I got to admit, even in life, with a lot of things, I need to have more patience, and even with wrestling, and that, I think it's a beautiful thing when we are, and they're patient, even if we're not, because it pays off, like you were saying. Man, you're a poet. Okay, Bob Dylan. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously.
I mean, the Mysterio family saga is still playing out on Raw as well. Mysterio was in a match, and within seconds of it starting, Rhea and Dominic came out. Then the rest of Judgment Day, it's just them sort of imposing their will again over it. So we're still seeing that build. But the reason I mention it led to probably the. The pop wasn't that big, but I liked it. We had AJ Styles come out, and once again Finn Balor trying to offer the olive branch to AJ Styles and saying, you need to join Judgment Day, and it looked like he was going to do it. I genuinely believed he was going to join them.
He sold me too because the way he embraced, and that once again is great storytelling, and he had me convinced. I thought he was going to join his old Bullet Club buddy Finn there, and
Yeah.
become a Judgment Day member because he even got on his knees, hugged him, embraced, and then what he said though after when that expression changed, then he got us again because we knew, oh well, he's not going to join them.
No, and then I've been alone too long, and Finn's like, I'm glad you've seen sense. I can't remember exactly what he said. Something about like, good to have family or whatever it was. And then he said, I wasn't basically his facial expression changed, as Tyler said. And, I wasn't talking to you. And then Gallows and Anderson have returned to WWE. And I did let out a bit of a, like a a goal at the winning match goal at the end of it. Luckily, the house is empty at that point. So, I didn't wake anybody up or annoy anybody.
Oh, that's true because it would have been late again, early morning. So,
well, I watched it in the morning the day after. So, because obviously,
I got you.
So,
the morning after.
No way am I staying up 2 in a row, man. I'd love to.
I don't blame you. Sometimes you got to be careful. We still need our rest. That's for sure. Our sleep.
Absolutely.
But I enjoyed it. Yeah, and we got it. The rumors. That's the only thing we already kind of knew a little bit about maybe where this was leading, but it still was effective. Anderson and Gallows coming back, because their contracts with Impact were up. They're still working with New Japan, surprisingly, because I think they hold titles or Carl Anderson does, but. AJ Styles gets his boys back, so he needed backup, and hey, they got a nice pop, a nice reception. I think people in Brooklyn didn't forget they were down
it was
for
good,
this.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I read that their contracts were up, but I didn't really put 2 and 2 together because I think I had it in my head that AJ. I was like, maybe AJ is going to join the Judgment Day, but it doesn't feel like it would make sense though. But at the same time, it would make sense. So I kept going backwards and forwards in my own head. And then when he did the face change and I wasn't talking to you line, and Gallows and Anderson came out, I was like, this is cool. And I could be wrong on this. This is where my theory comes in. No pun intended from talking about Austin Theory earlier. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I could see now we've got the club and AJ. Edge has also got some issues with the Judgment Day. I don't know how. Maybe they have another person, but quite easily you could see AJ and Gallows and Anderson possibly with Edge and Judgment Day with somebody else maybe. War Games coming up could quite possibly happen. We've got time to build that story.
I see what you did there, and I'm with it.
I can't wait for War Games, to be honest. I'm hoping it's going to be good, but you need to have a good story. Obviously, you've got the guys like the Brawling Brutes and Imperium over there on SmackDown brawling, so there's that. There's also that possibility over there. So yeah, we'll see. Unless it's just going to be a War Games Raw versus SmackDown, I don't know. We're not quite there yet, but there's a lot of opportunities now where we could see a proper grudge, almost like a gang war type thing in War Games, like old school stables going at it and factions.
That's what you need because that's what War Games is about. If you look at the WCW, the Crockett days, I mean, the way Dusty, I guess, was one of his brainchilds. I mean, and they're doing a right bomb. I think it's going to make for some compelling premium live events and even doing it on a TV show. It would be the same. I like the way you laid that out once again. I didn't put them together, but it makes sense because the way they're feuding against Judgment Day to align all of those Edge and Gallows, Anderson, AJ Styles, and give Judgment Day another member. Eventually, they're going to have at least one more. And I guess Ray could be on that other team, for Edge. And
it depends. I don't know who else would join Judgment Day, obviously, unless they do. I can't see them doing like a mix. I'm going to go with probably Rhea and Beth happens at is it Survivor Series after Crown Jewel? I believe that's right.
I think Survivor Series is after Crown Jewel, and we've got to have that match now, especially after Extreme Rules and what they were doing and how Rhea had done the steel chair. It's going to have a special stipulation, I feel like, after that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it going forward. SmackDown, I think this Friday is going to be hopefully pretty good. Bray Wyatt's allegedly meant to be there. Now, whether we see Bray Wyatt on TV in the sense of in the ring, or whether we only see this backstage promo for maybe a few weeks, I don't know. But either way, it's going to be good to see him on the show, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll draw a lot of attention back on SmackDown, and they've done that with Roman and Karrion Kross and Drew and Imperium. I'm not saying that, but the power that Bray Wyatt has about holding your attention. Just that's enough to where people are going to tune in. People that don't even follow wrestling, but may just enjoy his character, are going to want to see a segment or if he's going to appear on the show.
Yeah, I mean there are certain people that when they cut a promo, you just can't help but listen. And as soon as I saw Bray Wyatt in NXT with the Bayou sort of characters that they started with, and then when they came to the main roster, when Bray talked, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I understood everything he was talking about. He was using some very long, complicated words in some cases, but you couldn't help but listen to this guy. And it's the same with Paul Heyman as well for me. So
another good example, both those guys hold your attention because they're wordsmiths. I mean, they use some different words, and even if they don't, they articulate it in a way that they convey what kind of message that they need to engage an audience. And so that's two great illustrations.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward then. So we got Bray on SmackDown, and then also next week on Raw, Elias is coming back. I think
Elias is coming back.
Yeah, so it'd be good. I think you put the nail on the head earlier when you said about Elias. You know, he was good. We need to see a bit more of him in the ring, maybe, and build him up that way as well as good on the guitar and talking. So interesting to see what's happening in the next couple of weeks. Really, we've got Crown Jewel coming up, and obviously then Survivor Series. There's
a lot coming up. I mean, we think the holidays are busy. Even wrestling events keep busy during the holidays.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to what happens in the next. I think we've had a good 3-ish months with Triple H in charge. So let's see how the next 2 or 3 go and see how these stories start to play out on TV. Oh, do you know what? I'm ending the show, and do you know what we haven't spoke about? I can't believe I forgot about this. I was conscious of time there, Tyler. We haven't spoke about Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley and the fact that Brock Lesnar has come back.
Yeah. And I didn't want to cut you off, but I was thinking there was another big surprise, and it was teased to a lot of the articles, and then he another reveal, and it was the Beast. Cowboy Brock is back, but it looks like we may get more of the serious Beast that he had done with this other version of his character, reinvent himself, Brock Lesnar. Yeah. I mean, that was a different way to go about it because you feel bad for Bobby Lashley. You get him empathy. So I'm trying to look at it from that standpoint, and I'm happy for Seth because he gets a title. Bobby wasn't going to compete because he had a reason to, but Seth was calling him out on his military service, just trying to get in his head, play the mind games, and then we get, Brock Lesnar. Well, he did that before where he
come out and attack Lashley.
I got ahead of myself, but that's what happened, and did that armbar submission that injured his arm. So I guess they're maybe just wanting this match for Crown Jewel, but it was surprising because Brock, he just all of a sudden attacked him, and so it's definitely setting up some kind of feud between him and Lashley, and then Lashley's not going to forget about Rollins, so he's still tied into it. So but I'm glad you brought that up because there was so much going on, I about forgot.
I can't believe I forgot that. It was one of the, and I found it weird that they gave Seth a title match before Extreme Rules. So in my head, anyway, I figured he was going to walk out with the US title. Not the way it went down. Obviously, as we said, Brock attacked Lashley. Now, the background with Lashley and Brock, obviously, Lashley did beat Brock, but then Lashley was supposed to defend the WWE Championship in an Elimination Chamber, but got injured.
Yeah, back at the last one.
Yeah, but got injured beforehand, so didn't actually compete, and then Brock left Extreme Rules, Elimination Chamber. Yeah, as the champion, and that's what led us into Roman versus Brock at Mania, just gone. But so Seth again, we talking about trying to make it feel like to suspend that disbelief in terms of calling somebody out, calling them names, whatever. And Seth did everything he could to call him names.
He did. He triggered something enough to where Lashley was going to have to compete, and we were going to get some kind of match. But Lashley was a valiant effort, but he wasn't. He was already injured, which Seth, to his credit, was too. But it's to really get Seth back over with a title, and I think Lashley and Seth have elevated the U.S. title. I would concur with that.
I agree.
And having Lesnar, maybe maybe he's going to figure into the U.S. title picture, or maybe just to me, it's just more about a personal grudge. Lashley may get his redemption on Brock the next week because that's what he also mentioned he wants a piece of Brock Lesnar for what he did. He cost him the match due to injuring him and everything, that unprovoked attack. So it's really, if you think about it, it's long-term storytelling, even if you do it backwards, because they did have history. So
that's what I went straight to when I saw this happen. I was, I wasn't shocked that Seth walked out with the US title. I was more like, oh, Brock's back. I read something that maybe, but I never put too much into these articles.
Because it's still a rumor.
Yeah, of course.
And here's another facet that's interesting. Seth and Brock have history.
Of course, yeah.
So you never know if that's going to somehow, even if they just do Lashley and Brock, maybe Brock can come out and attack the new champion.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, to be honest. I think you've hit the nail on the head with Lashley and Brock probably going to be at Crown Jewel, to be honest. It would make sense.
Yeah, it would, because, Brock has done those shows, and I believe Lashley may have too, going over there. And
I think so, yeah.
And you say what you want to. I may not agree with how they do things over in that country, but, I mean, it's they put on a big show. They're definitely very passionate over in a lot of countries, whether, we agree with, what's going on economically or politically over there. It's just...
Yeah, I think that's a different podcast in itself.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even going to go there, but that's always everybody's problem with them. But I'm not going to demean WWE. I mean, they're doing it because they are trying to provide for the fans over there.
Of course, yeah.
I think that's commendable. I try to look at it more positive. I understand a lot of the negativity that goes along with it, but
yeah, no, well, as long as they don't hold up any more planes either with the talent and
well, that's true. Now, but to be fair, some of it, WWE thinks the NXT really did produce some memorable stuff, because that's where we got Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole that SmackDown.
Yeah, it was, because of the lack of people that were supposed to be there, wasn't it? That's what happened. So yeah,
so they were able to make a good show with all the talent still stuck on the plane. So. Yeah, I hate it for the talent, but in a way, it still helped maybe the NXT people get some valuable TV time and be able to shine against some of the main stars. So
yeah, I think it might take a bit of time now with the current NXT. Nothing against the talent down there, but the way it was presented, I think it needs a bit to be.
Yeah, they couldn't get away with it, I don't feel, with this NXT. That's no disrespect either. It's just that was a different NXT then.
Yes, of course, yeah. It's a shame that some of these people have left WWE and gone elsewhere, but they got to do what they got to do, and
they do, and nobody could have seen Triple H taking control either. So that's probably another.
I think that situation. Is I know we talk about it a lot, and a lot of wrestling fans talk about it, but I think it is a major factor that you've got Triple H there on creative. Not only because I think he can produce some great stories, and he's into the long term stuff, and I think that's what pays off. But I think, like you said earlier, he gets in another way of putting it, he gets on with the talent. He understands how to work with certain people. And I think maybe get the best out of him as well. And I think that can translate to the main roster, but it never seemed to before, so hopefully it can now. So,
oh, he does. I think he can relate somehow to him and get on their level. That was the knock against Vince. I think Vince at one point could, back when they were really rocking and rolling with people like The Rock and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think with age, not that he didn't get it, I just think Triple H really understood more about how to get the talent. He had more, I think, more of the relationship with, and Vince didn't get that relationship till they got to the main roster.
Yeah, and if you don't make a good first impression, then you're kind of screwed, I guess, maybe.
You probably are. Knowing how Vince could be, I've heard some pretty wild stories, and I guess that's with any boss or promoter or booker. He was, Vince definitely had some unique things about him, and I'm saying that out of respect because I know it's an easy thing. We're not going to get into all that's been talked about. I mean, that's been out there, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to put myself in the position to understand the difference of opinions between, and philosophies of Triple H and, Vince, and even the differences maybe between Stephanie or if Shane was in that role.
Yeah. Vince McMahon created a freaking good sports entertainment wrestling company, so you can't really, he put everything on the line back in the day to create it.
Fault him. Yeah, I mean, that first WrestleMania, and where would it be, where would the whole genre be if it hadn't have been for that? And a lot of credit to the territories, because they helped Vince. Even then, he was competing well before him, Nitro and Raw were doing it. Then that helped, and
absolutely
and everything. But the only problem, with all due respect to Impact and AEW, there's not a real sense of competition. I mean, I'm not saying they don't compete in a way for time slots, but to say it's the same like it was then is just dumb. I mean, I'm just going to say it. It's not very bright. I mean, it's just my perspective. I may get some bad tweets, and I'm actually a nice guy, but I'm sure I'll get somebody on Twitter that's on one side or another going, "How could you say that?" I mean, it's all opinions. I mean,
yeah, of course.
May not merit it, much more than the next person. It's just my opinion. I mean, it's like anybody. That's all it amounts to. So
it's all subjective, to be honest. It is all subjective.
Yeah, subjective's a right word.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, man. Well, we have once again. I've had a blast with you being on the show, mate. I've
had a lot of fun, and thank you for having me back. I think you do a wonderful job, and SJP, Media Network does a wonderful job. They've got a lot of great podcasts. Saab Powell, our mutual friend, and I have to thank him and thank yourself. You guys do a wonderful job, whether it's wrestling, you're covering some TV shows. I mean, it's impressive.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I actually did reach out to Cy. Cy actually recommended you as well, and I'm glad he did.
Well,
so
that's very kind. I paid him. You were saying you paid me. I was actually paying Cy across the table. He was the head of the table, and I had to be an Uso.
There we go.
Or Sami Zayn, and
I'll quite happily be the honorary Uso. I'm absolutely fine with that.
I would be too. I would love the privileges. So I'll be UC or whatever.
Yeah, Usi. Yeet and all that stuff going on, yeah.
That's funny. I'm still laughing. I'm getting a pop reaction over that.
Yeah, man, it was good. Well, if you want to plug any of your stuff quickly before we end the show, I want to say thanks again, mate, for coming on. I very much appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I sure will plug some of the stuff I'm involved with. Want to plug the Rewind Wrestling Radio podcast. They do a wonderful job covering a little bit of everything concerning wrestling. Also, Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. It's actually a non-wrestling podcast, but it's promoting positivity. Very good show. And back when, speaking of Saab Powell, I'm with Danny, one of his co-hosts there, and we're talking wrestling and entertainment. Also, I'm on the Uncensored Wrestling podcast. So we recap the Attitude Years of Raw. And we talked about that on this show. And also Wrestle Buddy and Geek Buddy, those websites. And more importantly, In the Corner, this great show. So got to plug them. And, it's always a pleasure and an honor. So thank you, sir. It's been a lot of fun to recap Extreme Rules and talk some Monday Night Raw with you.
I very much appreciate it, Tyler, and trust me, In the Corner fans, I don't know what the fan names are for In the Corner at the moment, but he will be back at some point. I hope you have a great day, Tyler. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, you too. I hope you have a great day and appreciate you as well.
Thank you very much. And we'll see the rest of you on Sunday for some SmackDown and some wrestling news as per usual. Thank you very much for listening to the show. I'll see you all again Sunday.